Oh, uh, welcome to Chatty Coffee. Welcome to Shyzalosophy. Here's your host, Shyzabox. Oh yeah, whoa, girl, whoa, wow, get out of here. And the horse you rode in on. Huh. Excellent. Welcome one, welcome all. Welcome to the rebranded. You can't just rebrand whenever you want. Yes, we can. Apprentice, keep entertaining the masses while we get set up how we need to be. Excellent, we're set up. Apprentice, get out here. It's our show. God, jeez Louise. Good help is hard to find. Anyhow, welcome ones, welcome all. We have got a fantastic show for you today. And by fantastic, we mean free. So remember, you get what you pay for. Let's see what's up. In the house, the big JC. Well, JC, welcome to the rebranding. And by rebranding, you kind of know what's up. We're not ready to, kind of divulge everything that you might be privy to or aware of and things of that nature. But if there's one thing that we are doing today, it is talking about work, right? You might be saying, what? What is this? New format. Well, no, it's kind of the same format. New show? No, pretty much the same show. New routine? Well, close enough. Yes. So, there are elements, aspects, components, and situations, right, that one has to put in work. Okay, and you might be saying, like, what is work? Is work work? Are we work? And inevitably, the answer to all those questions could be yes. Work comes in all shapes, forms, sizes, abilities, and desires. People can want to work, people can desire to work, and people can be unable to do such. People can not want to work, desire not to work, and then, ironically, be forced or kind of required, necessitated to do actual work. Now, obviously, that's the people who like work and don't like work. Pretty obvious, eh? Yes, but with work coming in all forms, shapes, and sizes, a lot of times you have to look at where it fits in best and right with you. You might be saying, well, you haven't been working since you started this entire channel, all right? That's pretty much, I guess, true in one way, shape, or form. But even if there's some jokiness, even if there's some off-the-wall stuff, even if there's some rando characters that don't apply or pertain to everyone's, preferences or choices, or maybe a little of them are too edgy and ruthless or something like that. All right, we get it. All right, we got a lot of crazy stuff out there on this channel alone. Totaling in, excess of 4,000 videos, right? You might be saying, well, that's not that many. Well, I guess you're right. Some of them are shorts, and they're not long. So, if you're going to, pad out our view hours so YouTube starts giving us fractions of cents, maybe click on some of those longer streams, mute it, and go to work. So that we get the view. You're putting in work for us while you're working for yourselves. The algorithms start working for us, and we start actually kind of showing up on YouTube's payroll like we're working in the means of extracting fractions and fractions of cents from them at a time, right? You might be saying, well, why would we help you? See, here's where it's that symbiotic relationship, okay, that things like Shyzalosophy thrives on, okay? Symbiotic relationships come in all shapes, forms, sizes, and they can, affect all aspects and components, areas of one's life. Now, if you were to say, click on this content accidentally, okay, you might be saying, oh, this is the worst thing I've ever seen. I can't believe how bad this is. Well, doesn't hurt our feelings. You think we don't know that? I mean, we can look around too. We've seen good content creators. We call dibs on the ground floor level. Everything else you watch is guaranteed to be better than this. You might be saying, well, yeah, that's pretty obvious. Yes, but is it applicable if you don't check in sometime or another with the worst thing available? Okay? You kind of like, oh, well, that's really bad, but then you click on something else that you like more, and it's better. We know we can't compete with AI's videos. We're not the Joe Rogan, Tim of the Pool, we hire fact checker budgets. Does it look like we have a budget for that? Okay, it probably does. With all of this quality, not even finished studio sitting around here, okay? We don't have that excess budget. So, when it comes to work and putting in work, we really need those algorithms to kind of start doing things in our favor. So, pad out our views for us. Click on our longer videos, mute it, go to work. Click on our longer videos, mute it, go to sleep. Have it playing in the other room. Doesn't matter. We get the views. We get the fractions of cents. You get to check in periodically if you choose to. And it makes everything else you watch and do in your life better. You're welcome. Excellent. Sorry, we know, JC, you threw something in there. Public service announcements. Yes, yes. If it's from Joey, it's a no-y, especially if he offers you a job. Excellent point. The big JC, if it's from Joey, it's a no-y. And if there's one thing that we know-y, it's that you gotta stay away from every component, aspect, and iteration of Joey. Joey is there to trip you up in life, okay? Joey is there to do everything that he can in his power to make your life worse. You might be saying, well, I know someone named Joey. You might know someone named Joey, but that's irrelevant unless you know Joey, which inherently is a placeholder for all things evil. Okay, and, fair enough. Maybe it could be place held with a different word, but when you know the complete and utter debauchery and lifestyle choices and inherently negative, most worst aspects and components of what Joey incorporates and entails, if you've ever had to be in the same town, city, precinct, county, let alone even state as Joey, okay, now we're looking at you, California, New York, you're pretty close. Jersey, maybe even a little closer, but the fact is that if the feds could keep track of Joey, keep him nailed down to where the complete and utter devastation that he wreaks, sows, embodies, and imbues on not only where he's at physically at any given point in time, but the ramifications of his paper trail of where he's been, what he's done, what he's influenced, negatively impacted, are far-reaching and worldwide in scope and nature. So you keep that in mind next time that you try and branch off and think, oh, it's just Joey, not a big deal, right? Well, if it's from Joey, it's a no-y. Way to go, Big JC. High five, Bob. Excellent. Warning the masses, warning the public. That's what we're here for. Now, what else we're here for today, ironically, is to talk about work. And you might be saying, yeah, speaking of work, I got to do some. Well, that's the thing about work. Do you? Yeah, probably. Okay, well, don't let us stop you. Don't let us be the reason that you get terminated or fired from a position or place of employment. We do that good enough on our own for ourselves. You don't need us to help you do it as well. So be sure you're taking care of everything you're supposed to be taking care of in your lives, okay? Just remember, avoid Joey at all costs, okay? All aspects, components. Okay, excellent, very good. So, work. Where do you want to, start as far as addressing the concept, as far as addressing the episode? Well, we already prefaced everything with a pretty good warning. Okay, thank you, the big JC. For, all components as a whole. Management's calling. Apologies. They do this on occasion. They think they know how to run the place. What do you want? We're on time. We're doing the show. No, we weren't on time. Well, that's subjective. I mean, we were working on getting ready. So that counts as work. Well, that's debatable. Then you get HR, and we'll have that meeting. Okay, then. Stop interrupting the show. Sorry about that. Management likes to chime in thinking they have good ideas and know how to run the place better than us. And they don't, no. And believe you me, they don't. So we gotta, kind of at least just keep that so it's not incessantly red light flashing in the booth here. But anyhow, we digress. How would you like to approach work? How would you like to talk about work? What kind of philosophical components and aspects can we apply, Shyzalosophy, to work in your daily life? Yes, feel free to interact with a real-life internet celebrity. Not a good one, but one nonetheless. And a philosopher at that. You see, we're falling back on our minor in philosophy. And with that, we are going to try and fine-tune, finalize, and put out a collected works that reflects all of human history and knowledge to a degree of certainty that is unobtainable by many other thoughts, cultures, religions, things of that nature. Now, we don't want to say cultures because that's, pretty blanketed, universal, statement claim. But we're working on refining it, fine-tuning it, and we will have a list of collected works that we plan on, kind of mentioning as far as for your own enlightenment and enjoyment and, should you choose to view it that way, entertainment. Now, you might be saying, that sounds like a lot of work. And, believe you me, it's more work than we thought it was going to be. Whoops! But, I'll tell you what, within the last, we're not even joking, 72 hours to more than that, we have been working on not only what we would consider one of the biggest rabbit holes that we have ever jumped down, gone down, viewed, been attempted to be entertained by. As you click on those videos and you get in those rabbit holes, like, all of a sudden your algorithms are like, hey, here's a bunch of cop videos. Look at the cops beat the crap out of this guy. We're here to serve and protect the shit out of you, right? Right? As they do that, you get the videos and they just show up on your feed. The algorithm says, hey, this is what you want. We're going to work for you and giving you more of this. You might be saying, well, no, someone forwarded me that, and I'm not really interested in the cops pummeling people in their faces. I like the ones where the people pummel them. Oh, that's illegal. Don't hit anyone. Keep your hands to yourself. It goes for law enforcement and civilians, as well. Okay? We're looking at you, feds. Keep your hands to yourself. That's everyone else's wallet and purse, not yours. Government, right? Think they know how to run the place. With your money from your hard work. Just kidding, government. No, we're not. Now, let's preface everything with everything here is for your perceived enjoyment and amusement. We don't want to say that it is all necessarily rooted in entertainment value, because we're applying and we feel applicable to apply things that are grounded and rooted in fact from certain standpoints, okay? Things that are grounded and rooted in fact that throw entire narratives on their heads, okay? When you look at components of technology that starts working for humanity, okay? New robots that serve food at restaurants, new robots that cook food at restaurants, new robots that take orders at restaurants. Well, looks like restaurants have gotten a lot of help. Fantastic, right? Robots are helping them work to get their mission goal, providing everyone with elbow-dropped hamburgers with smeared ketchup on the buns, right? It's like, oh, it's our mission statement. Every time this guy comes through, you put the condiments on the outside of the sandwich, atomic elbow drop it, pow! Put it in a bag, give him a napkin. Have a good day, sir. We worked hard on this order for you. I hope you work hard on washing your hands afterwards, because you're going to get condiments all over them. Excellent. Not the first time. We're used to it. Excellent. Right? But the point is that, these places work to bring you their product, okay? And now they've found help in having technology, artificial intelligence, robots begin working for them to supplement and pad out their, job and work experience. Fantastic, right? Absolutely. It frees them up to be able to do more stuff like not keep up with cleaning the lobby, not keep up with restocking the straws, napkins, and condiments that aren't included on the outside of your order or sandwiches, okay? By having a bunch of empty receptacles and containers. But that wouldn't be just the baseline. Of course, they're working hard on not emptying those overflowing trash cans as well, right? You might be saying, well, you caught them at a bad time. You caught them on a day that ends in Y when they didn't feel like it. Fair enough. Maybe we shouldn't have gone in on that day. But the point is that as this technology, this science, these things that are rooted in the development that works towards making a symbiotic relationship feasible between all aspects, components, and elements that come together to complete a mission goal. The robot makes the order that was put in. A kiosk robot, artificial intelligence, takes the order. Digitally, banks transfer money, okay, data, back and forth, okay, saying, hey, these decimals go here, these decimals go there, for enacting transactions. Look how hard banks worked in order to get their cut of every single aspect they could. They charge businesses fees for utilizing the convenience of digital card money. They have to pay percentages back, okay, on an annual basis based off percentages on transactions. It's absurd, it's ridiculous, it's more hands in the, pie, working to raise those prices for the consumer that actually has something to do with the transaction, right? You might be saying, well, the banks do too, the banking financial institutions do too. They're working on making it possible for themselves to get more money from any component that is affiliated with their business, okay? You want to use cards at your business? Well, you got to pay us money. Yes, we don't have anyone physically there that we're paying to oversee stuff. You ever pay for, say, utilities? Okay, maybe in your precinct, town, community, state. Could vary where you live, of course. But you go for that online payment, right? You're like, oh, crap. This bill's due. My ma's at her second job. She's not going to be off in time. She wants me to go pay it. I'm not leaving the house. I'm down in the basement trying to stream of the live, trying to execute Shyzalosophy in working form, function, and fashion. Believe you me, we do. Execute it perfectly. We're the founders, after all. We're pretty much flawless when it comes to that. Don't worry about other stuff. The point is that, there's components, aspects, elements that these institutions should have nothing to do with as they get their hands in the pocket of stuff that has, nothing to do with them. That's a whole nother probably episode and everything like that we can apply Shyzalosophy to. Where we need to ground stuff, where we need to root it and kind of get back to is work itself, right? There are components and aspects to work that come in all shapes, forms, sizes, ways, shapes, forms, and sizes, right? There's manual labor, okay? Physical labor, sweating in the sun, lifting, moving, utilizing muscle, skeletal structure, innate abilities, okay, that allow you to pick up, manipulate, and move objects, right? To work, to get stuff done, okay? Then there's other jobs, components, and aspects that don't focus on the physical, okay, that are more mentally, obviously, utilized. The thinking of concepts and ways to elicit and gain more money from businesses that use your devices, apparatuses, platforms, and or interact with patrons that, trust you to hold on to their money for financial and banking purposes, with which you then use to disseminate, disperse, and make even more money off of, because let's be honest, you guys are great at your jobs, okay? You guys are working mentally to come up with more ways to get more of other people's money. Well, fantastic. We've been trying to think of ways to do that, but the thing is that, we only want, money from those that are better off and can, stomach it. YouTube seems to have some good, financial backings and dollars on occasion. They seem to be a pretty reliable and steady platform. And as all of these voids start opening up, looking at you, Colbert, thanks for sucking. Yeah, I mean, there's a new suck in town. That's us. Oh, you're replaced. We're gonna get a bunch of dancing, ridiculous shit behind us. But we figured, why behind us, Colbert, when we can obviously utilize it to get them in front of us? Yes, Colbert, your antics and tactics are well known, but they're old news. It's old tricks, Colbert. You see, we're the new crap. You've been losing, 40 million? Between 40 and 50 million dollars a year? Well, Colbert, you know what we're not losing that much of? That much money. So we don't have that to lose anyway. Okay? All we lose is self-respect and dignity. And believe you me, that takes work. Now, you might be saying that wacky, waving, inflatable, flailing arm guy is hardly going to replace Colbert. But isn't it? Really, isn't it? I mean, hell, I would watch us holding up this, like this, not even on, do-do-do-do-do-do, do-do-do-do-do. I'm a wacky waving guy. Do you want to watch me or Stephen Colbert? Well, wacky waving guy, we want to watch you. Oh, are you sure? This is crappy content. That's okay. Colbert sucked too. Oh, no, people thought he was funny. Oh, you mean back in the 90s when he was funny? Oh, yeah, I guess you know about that, huh? Yeah. He used to be funny. Oh, yeah, okay. Continue to show. Excellent. See? Sorry, had to put in work to elicit those ones of subscribers and views, right? How are we ever going to get YouTube's money if we don't hit all of their monikers that they keep kicking the goalpost further and further back on, right? When we started, we didn't need that many view hours. Now, turns out we're missing a few thousand, because every time we seem to get a little close, they're like, hey, you better find another 1,000 views somewhere. It's like, well, where? I don't know. Good luck with your content. It's like, Colbert's still on air. We'll never recoup that. Well, you better hope they fire him one day. You better hope they cancel his show. You might pick up some scraps. You might pick up some subscriberifications. Hey, Josh, good to see you. I would watch this any day over that sellout. Excellent. Well, Josh, that's the thing. We would too. And it takes work for you to put that in the chat and let all the, ones of other viewers that are checking this out know that. You see? Josh knows where his loyalties lie. He knows that there's new crap on the block. And it's us. Okay? He knows where to throw his subscribification into. If he subscribed, I don't know. He might not have. That's your bad. Those are your algorithms, Josh. You might want to clear your cache and second reconsider. But, that takes a little bit of work to do that. So, let the algorithm do as it will. The point is that with work coming in all shapes, forms, and sizes, and there being a void left by the worst of the worst that's, out of there, we got dibs on the ground floor level. Everyone else is like, I want to be a celebrity. I want to be a celebrity. I'm reaching for the stars. As they're jumping up and down. They're jumping up and down. Okay? We'll say, apprentice, get in here. Okay? Sometimes we need apprentice to, kind of do things for us. All right. Apprentice, you're going to reenact people wanting to be celebrities jumping up and down. Okay? So do it. Excellent. Apprentice does what we say. While all these celebrities are jumping up and down, okay, say success and mediums of professionalism and everything like that, and all monikers of societal acceptance and, things that prove you have done everything that you should have in life. Like, oh, I went to college like I was told. Oh, I got the best job. Oh, I bought a house. Oh, family and everything. And oh, a new car. And oh, I got a boat. Oh, taxes from the government. Yay. Oh, I got to sell my boat. Oh, no one wants to buy it. Oh, fuck this boat. Shh, okay. Okay. While they're jumping for all these mediums of success, here we are crawling on the ground. Oh, man. YouTube, give us some sense. Oh, I want a lot of money in a boat. I just want some fractions of pennies. Oh, hey, who are you down there? Oh, it's us, Shyzabox. Get out of our way. Oh, I want everything. I want all the success. Oh, get out of the way. Blah. Right? As all these dudes are jumping around, and get out of here, apprentice. We're done with you. As all those dudes are jumping around, here we come, crawling on the ground. Doop, 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 doop. Knock them on their high knees. And believe you me, we look to get the shinies. Fractions of cents at a time. From YouTube. Because we're putting in work. You might be saying, prove it. But, no. Anyhow, let's make sure we're not missing ones of other comments. You're subscribed. Well, excellent. See? And that's the thing, Josh. You know that Colbert is no longer going to be there to fill that niche and void of crap. So you need new crap, and that's us. And we accept our place. Josh, we can call you Josh, right? Now, of course we can. Josh, we go way back, streams and streams and streams ago. Hell, J-Money. When we, and this, J-Money, this. When we called Daryl Dixon dibs from The Walking Dead, when we said, we get to be the worst, we get to do what we do, and we realize and accept the fact that individuals out there do it better, content creators out there make it better, do it better, engage better, perform better, algorithmically do their thing better, right? But J-Money, the thing is that when we invoke Daryl Dixon dibs, we accept our place of the bottom of the heap. Fractions of cents coming in, maybe the occasional buck or two kicked our way, only from those that are in a position where it's feasible, possible, plausible, and they don't hurt for any component, aspect, or element of that transaction. Okay? Take care of yourself first. Through enlightenment, through knowledge, through education, through everything. Well, where do I start? What do I read? Well, we're working on compiling a collected works if you're interested. We'll let you know as soon as we finalize that. We feel we're pretty close, but there's always room for improvement. Explain this. Well, no. Okay? That's the thing. Okay? There's always room for improvement, but the medium and moniker of improvement pertaining to this must reside in the truth that we call Daryl Dixon dibs on the ground floor level. Everything else you watch must be and inherently should be better than this. You're welcome. Makes your day better, okay? And believe it or not, it does. You're like, man, I don't remember what I was watching earlier. It wasn't that good. Anyhow, hey, look, Joe Rogan has a new episode, and it's infinitely better. You might be saying, well, that's a horrible example because presumably it's already infinitely better, okay? And you're probably right. But say it's not Joe Rogan. Say it's an Angry Joe or an Asmongold video, right? You might be saying, oh, yeah, those are way better. I'm going to go watch one of those instead. It's like, nuts. Well, fair enough. Don't blame you. Leave it. Pull up a separate tab. Mute this. And go watch them. Apologies. These entities are out there that are very good at what they do, and they put content out there, and its place is solidified, okay? We don't want to usurp the greats that are there. They're already great at doing it. There's people out there that are greater than us at doing it, and why attempt to compete with all those that are, jumping and reaching for those gold stars when all these little crusty flakes and crap coming off of all the rich people's feet are landing and we're like, oh, you 2 fractions of cents, let's pick these up. We're crawling on the ground like, oh, found all sorts of little pennies down here. Oh, no, that's an old piece of candy. Blah. No, we'll eat that anyway. We're poor. Blah. Whatever. We go through, we get those, little droppings. That's probably the appropriate terminology for it. We get the droppings, okay? And life goes on. Society moves on. Just remember, always take care of yourself first. Those around you that you love or appreciate more than us, a little unlikely, but, may probably exist in one way, shape, or form. Take care of them second. Take care of anyone else who needs it more than us before us. Take care of them first. They need it. We don't need it. We want it. There's a difference. Okay? We're not hurting for food. We know how to scavenge out of dumpsters when businesses close down. Okay? Believe you me, we'll survive. And we will continue to bring you this in a completely unpaywalled off manner and form and variety. You'll never once see this show, any iteration of it that we are inherently responsible for, behind a paywall. Okay? There are elements and aspects of work that have been done intentionally to keep the populace excluded from knowing things to be inherently true. When you look at councils that have convened to control, manipulate, omit, leave out, obscure, adjust data to fit certain narratives, needs, desires, wants, okay, they are putting in some very strenuous work to present a fabricated lie. When we see every component and aspect of the history that we studied in college, okay, we're falling back on our minor, philosophy. It's our favorite. If we hadn't been lied to our entire lives, we probably would have eventually found out that we wanted to, maybe do philosophy long term, maybe history even longer term. We ended up majoring in history, but when people kept telling us, you need college, like, okay, what are you going to do? I don't know. Told me I need college. How am I going to afford it? Well, why don't you get a loan from these guys? They're called the government. Okay, I guess I could get in bed with them. Sounds like a great idea. Hey, they're already in my bed. Those are my tax dollars, government. Silly gooses. Then they're like, hey, here's some money. Why don't you go to college? Oh, look, colleges raise their prices again and again and again. Oh, whoopsie. Guess I got to borrow more money to, pad out their payroll. Okay? To pay for the things like their additional land acquisitions to make themselves bigger and bigger and bigger to cover more crap that isn't pertinent to degrees, education, or any kind of longevity, career-oriented, wise, technical skill that you can pick up, acquire, with which you can work through the rest of your life to, I don't know, support yourself on. Okay? Now, of course, this could be construed as hyperbole and a little conjecture and elements of that. You might be saying, no. Every single component and aspect of college, if you get a degree in absolutely anything at all, is inherently worth the money spent to acquire it. And you can't tell us otherwise, okay? And if you're in the realm and belief system that is true, then obviously you haven't heard of a little thing that's better than a lot of components and aspects called, I don't know, tech school, right? Instead of us growing up and our teachers being like, wow, see me after class, see me after class, see me after class, what happened here, see me after class, instead of teachers going and writing all that and then telling us, oh, you need to go to college. Are you sure? Are you sure we need to go to college? Have you seen our test grades? Have you seen these scores? Have you seen these notes you've been writing to us? See me after class? Why do you want to see us after class? Oh, teacher. Oh, sorry, we conflate our OnlyFans channel sometimes. Wrong channel. They don't want to see us after class for any other reason than to tell us, boy, the trajectory you're on sure doesn't seem like you're comprehending this material we're going over in class. Maybe you should, I don't know, get smarter, kid. And we're like, oh, okay, sorry, teacher, guess we'll get smarter. They're like, excellent, okay. Now that that's settled, here's your C's and D's for the duration of your younger years until you go to a high school with lower standards than the middle schools that you went to in other regions and portions of the country and world. And all of a sudden, you're making the honor roll. Not even joking. Ho, ho, ho. C, D, F student, that was us. In different regions, okay? All of a sudden, honor roll. Whoa. Kids were paying us. No, financial endeavors. Just kidding, academia. Kids were paying us for us to do their work. Thing is that we already did the work. It was called our work. You want to copy it? Hell yeah, thanks for the money. We had a thriving business going. Just kidding, academia. Maybe we didn't. The point is that regionally, the education was flawed. Okay? So when you start off in a region, obviously, and you're getting C, D's, F's, see me after class, see me after class, see me after class, and then you go somewhere else to a different part of the country, nation, world, and their standards are inherently different. Maybe better, maybe worse. In our case, far worse. Believe you me, far worse, okay? Then you have components and aspects, all right, of all the work that's done to keep these places just open, to keep their doors going. Hey, but for the purpose of what? To continually drive poor practice? A lot of local municipalities probably need to take stuff over. But that's an entire another episode. We'll do one on education one day maybe, okay? Obviously, we used to be substitute teachers. The state will almost say yes to anyone. Okay? Now, you might be saying, oh, feds, you better investigate his tenure as a substitute teacher. Believe you me, they have and they do. Probably. Well, you know they do. Anyhow, presumably. Don't want to be factually inaccurate, right? A lot of conjecture here. We don't have the budgets for the Tim Pools or the Joe Rogan fact checkers, okay? You know this, we know this. This is why we keep it rooted in where those facts lie and point you in that direction, preferably. Let's see these ones and chats we're missing. Sorry, apologies. We know we get going and, chatty, and as we reformat, it's not even Chatty Coffee Crew. Well, you still have coffee. We still got ours. We plan on having it. Always be nods and references to it. Maybe, one shape or form. Right now we're doing work. Man, it doesn't look like it. Right now, we're not even joking. We put in more hours, revisions, manipulations, and components and aspects of thought, logic, reasoning, and argumentation to deduce and derive, elements and components that we feel, shape and formulate human history in the most precise, correct manner. Okay, to account for oversights, to account for omissions, and to account for the inaccuracies provided by other entities that have been around and generally are accepted in academia and throughout history as, the standard that be. Okay? Well, we say that standard's wrong, and it is, and we like to say that Shyzalosophy is, going to inherently be that modern, historical working, philosophical approach that all can take part of and contribute to. Okay? It'll be fantastic, and by fantastic, it'll be free. So, unless, inherently, if the collected works get published into nice leather-bound editions, then obviously, that's going to cost money. You got to pay to play. So, consider that. But, it's a long way off. Ain't nothing printed, ain't nothing getting printed anytime soon. Maybe a PDF file sooner than later. It'll be free. Probably. Mostly. Whatever. The point is that we've been putting in some, what we would consider work. You might be saying, well, you're not good at work. Well, fair enough. Whatever. Doesn't hurt our feelings. So take it for what it is, but, yeah, we've been putting in some, man, and as we started off the show saying that we jumped down one of the biggest rabbit holes that we feel we've ever began jumping down. But this hole, for us, for some reason, we are driven to not only excavate the ever-living shit out of it, but we have begun doing such. And this hole has become not just a rabbit hole, but a rabbit crater that holds a bunch of horny rabbits constantly reproducing and digging burrows in so many different directions from the bottom of the crater that we can't seal off one exit and begin reaching in the holes to grab a rabbit's hiney out of it before the hole begins to widen and deepen even greater. You might be saying, well, that sounds like a fantastic way of thinking and thought. Share us some of that knowledge. Believe you me, we're working on it. Okay? You might be saying that's, it sounds ridiculous. And believe you me, it does. Super ridiculous. Okay? When we say that we feel that institutions have lied throughout history, we feel that things have been omitted throughout history, things have been changed, adapted to fit a certain narrative, story, or perspective throughout history, okay? You can pick and draw all sorts of elements, components where that has happened, maybe where that has not happened, and it was conjectured that it did. But when you account for current modern historical findings on components and aspects of history and our premise, the very first one, Göbekli Tepe, city in Turkey, right? It's insane. Go from there, history, work. That's what we're doing now. Okay? And it's grounded and rooted in philosophy because we're falling back on that aspect and component of that collegiate education that we paid for with someone else's money that became our money when we worked off to pay back that money. Education system. They made bank off of us. What do we have to show for it? Nothing. We're on the ground floor level of doing work we should have been doing when we were back in college. Probably be done by now, right? No, they had to tell you something. Sure. Elements, components. Sure. They taught us how to dig through the archives. That's great. Fantastic. We're a history major, eventually. After being a business management major for 2.5 years, you're going to have to retake microeconomics. You suck at it. No, thank you. I'm just going to quit. See you guys later. I don't want to manage business anyway. I can barely manage my life, let alone a business, right? Just joking. We can actually do a variety of business management aspects and endeavors. Don't worry about it. That's another show in episode 2. Let's catch up. Sorry. No room for Joey. Absolutely not. If it's Joey, it's a no-y. But does Joe Rogan have a cool hat like you? Well, probably. He probably has a lot more than what we got, honestly. But, you know, Josh, that's an entirely great point. Because there are elements and aspects of Joe Rogan's, I don't know, payroll, his wallet, his bankroll, right? That allow him the opportunity to definitely get way better hats than us. Damn it. Anyhow, let's see. This channel's going to go big, I know it. Well, absolutely it's going to go big. That's because we are pretty much creating an entirely new train and way of thought. Almost like inherently an entirely new way of thinking. It's a modern philosophical branch and, element that we are fine-tuning, refining, and basing on historical endeavors, events, and scientific, outcomes, discoveries, and alternative means, measures, modes of its becoming mediums of technology, as well as implementing a symbiotic relationship with artificial intelligence in rounding out the entire thing into one nice little neatly packaged bow. That's it's pretty expansive, okay? In fact, here, it's going to be a collected works. Okay, originally, we thought it was one book. It is not one book. There's far too more. The project and the scope of this rabbit hole we're in, okay, that is a rabbit crater, is so big, we're going to start the work. It's not going to be done by the time we are long gone, okay? And that's a sad thing for us to realize as we're doing this. We know with the sheer volume and plethora of content that is out there that we're grasping from, pulling from, implementing, and, utilizing, there's so much, so many accountable elements, aspects, and fractional historical data that the project will not be done in our lifetime. Okay, we can get a good start on it. We can get the collected works going, and believe you me, we are really close to that. Okay, it'll be a starting point and a foundation for anyone seeking a starting point or a foundation for a possible, and by possible we mean very likely, alternative history to what the world paints as what history is. You might be saying, that's a pretty bold claim, Cotton. See how it pays off, and let's see how it pays off, okay? We got our ideas. We're open to criticism, and we're open to being wrong. We're open to changing and keeping it diverse and dynamic enough with which it can respond to and adapt to critique and implementation. We are not beyond knowing that inherently what we compile can be flawed and inherently will be flawed because mankind is flawed, okay? The world is flawed. It's a most perfect, flawed creation, okay? You might be saying, whoa, that's some crazy talk, right? Sure, but there are flaws, right? Not everything goes perfectly. Not everything aligns all the time. But there are components of such mathematical beauty and perfection that inherently things and elements do align, almost like it's the most beautiful, organized chaos that could possibly ever be or exist, or is known to, mankind. When you look at components and aspects of, historical events, places, timelines that challenge narratives and dig in, okay, to provide alternative accounts and things of that nature, that's exactly the work we're doing currently and that we're hoping to bring to fruition sooner than later. And we'll see how it goes, right? A lot of work. Like we said, by the time we are long gone, okay, by the time we're Ozzy of the Osbourne, okay, bless. By the time we're Ozzy of the Osbourne, the work will still be most likely unfinished and undone. And inherently, it'll be unfinished and undone because it's designed as a living work. That's the point. And it's going to be fantastic. Well, for us. It's going to be fantastic for us. In theory. I don't know. Maybe it won't be. Who cares? Come along for the ride. Or don't. Let's catch up. Sorry, I know we digress. We digress and don't keep up with anything. Recently, I've been adding heavy whipping cream to my coffee. Game changer. Excellent. Well, the big JC, that's the kind of hard-hitting elements and components of lifestyle choices that we need to take on and address, right? Let's put in work on improving what is around us as we work to improve the studio. Work harder. Okay, sure. We'll get done sometime, surely, maybe, probably. Okay? Occupied with some other stuff. We need to not be, but holy cow, we are. When you're working on creating a better beverage, okay, by adding the, whipping cream, whatever, then that's the kind of fantastic stuff that you need to, transform in your life to make it better. Add the heavy whipping cream. It tastes better. Do it, Absolutely. Good stuff. Big JC coming through as always. Between you and Josh, there's no holding us back. I need to try that. Yes, excellent. You do need to try that. JC says it's good. My college was a constant construction zone, and we were funding future students' resources. We didn't benefit at all. Well, that's a fantastic point, the big JC. That's because you're entirely correct. Not only was your experience, but ours as well. Like we said, colleges, institutions, financial, religious, banking, which is financial, educationary institutions, okay, private corporations, businesses, entities. They go on this, we have excess money. Let's not improve, make better any foundational component, aspect, or thing that's relevant to our mission at hand, our site on site, our patrons, customers, clients, fans, whatever. Let's do zero with any aspect or component of where we can improve, and let's acquire land 2 miles down the road so that we can expand our campus, so we can expand our business, so we can expand our, university's, reach and dynamic and renown. Look how big our campus is with over 80 buildings, right? Well, what are you doing in those 80 buildings? Well, one of them, we teach art history. Oh, you teach art history? How much does that cost the students to learn? Well, don't worry about it. But we're raising the prices. Oh, cool. Well, all you art history majors, what you gonna do with that? Huh? You gonna work for a, art gallery? You gonna write a book? Gonna, do stuff? I don't know. We never took art history. We don't know what foundationally is in it. But I'll tell you what we did do. We took art and we took history. And if there's something that overlaps in, regular history, it's art. Michelangelo, Da Vinci, Statue of David, the Mona Lisa. These are things and components that you learn about in historical classes, generally speaking, at certain levels. So why study art history if you can blank-diddly study art and blank-diddly study history under the same umbrella of, what are you trying to do with that? Study it on your own. You don't got to pay someone to study it. They're pointing you in direction saying, hey, buy this iteration of this textbook that costs this amount of more money than it should, right? Purchase this updated, version of this textbook for this class because Daddy needs book sales to hit more than they are, okay? Oh, you don't want the old edition? If I tell you to open to page 76, you're going to be looking on page 67 and not know where we are. And believe you me, 1 or 2 words are different or changed. So you're going to fail the test. So you better buy that new edition. I don't know what you think you're trying to get knowledge from a different book than the one I tell you to buy? No. You buy the works we tell you. You study the works we tell you. You get a degree from the works we told you to study. Thanks for the money. Go have a great life. Don't forget, we're going to ask you for alumni donations year upon year upon year upon year upon your departure, so that you give us more money, so that we can additionally, the big JC, fund all of these events, endeavors, arenas, additional lands, buildings that you will have nothing to do with, don't benefit you in any iota, way, shape, or form. And it's for the future. And you're like, oh, well, that's a good thing. It's for future generations, right? Well, meantime, their other infrastructure crumbles and cracks because they're buying new stuff, not focusing on what needs to be addressed in their own arena, in their own home base, right? Maybe the roof's falling apart. Maybe landscaping needs to be done. They're like, no, we got to go buy a new property miles down the road so that, we can say our campus is massive. Our campus is over 80 miles big. Well, campus can be 80 square foot big, and you could build it straight up using an elevator to get from every individual floor, make it a mile tall, if it's physically possible or doable, okay, whatever. This is just an example. Conjecture, probably, whatever. You could make something, okay, that takes up less space, but could utilize or do the exact same thing that you're doing with all this other stuff that you're buying. Your infrastructure crumbles, okay? Other components, aspects suffer. And then, now, before you know it, you're raising your prices on your students, okay, to do it again. Absurd. We find problems and issues with it. We take problems and issues with the fact that we feel we were lied to. A lot of people might not feel that, and we are not negating college as a whole and stating that there is no place for it in any way, shape, or form, because there is an inherent need and design structure to college that is so pertinent, that is so necessary, that it is undebatable as far as its potential for societal infrastructure and baseline operation, okay? When you have fields of study that deal with life and death, your doctors, your nurses, your surgeons, which are doctors and stuff like that usually, okay, when you have all of these components that need individualized, specialized areas of study, even chemists, biologists, physicists, okay, mathematicians, you need that area of study. But when it comes to the arts, when it comes to other areas of the sciences that, let's be honest, aren't necessarily the sciences, someone's wasting money or time somewhere. Stuff you could be doing on your own, not paying someone to be pigeonholed into learning. Okay? You ever see Good Will Hunting? Fantastic movie. Matt Damon, right? Robin of the Williams. Fantastic stuff. It's brilliant. The point is that you can get the exact same education without paying for it. How do you like them apples? Okay? Like we said, there's a necessity for college, for certain individualized fields of study and practice. And you cannot negate that. You cannot drop that. You cannot get rid of that. Okay? You can't have a bunch of untrained professionals going around like it's Civil War times on the battlefield being like, well, toothache, huh? Amputation. No. Stubbed your toe, huh? Well, amputation. Let's see. Oh, what happened to your arm? Well, let's amputate both that and your foot. Okay, who's next? Who needs an amputation? Okay? As they went around the Civil War battlefield, they're like, okay, all amputations over here. Everyone else who thinks they don't want one over there. And then get your ass back over here for amputation. Okay? That's the training. Okay? That's the thing. You don't want that. Now, we're not saying some amputations weren't necessary. Some lives weren't saved by the fast, quick thinking of, I'm pretty good at amputations. Anyone need one? Okay. Who's next? Let's get this battlefield cleaned up. Okay. Let's solve our problems. Right? Doctors, as they were, practicing and learning and doing, they were inevitably creating a field that just got better. Look at the, things like the Red Cross's formation, all right? When that started to form and, become an entity, it was based off of battlefields, right? The need for something like that to exist. Now, if you were to take what you feel the Red Cross's mission statement was, where finances went to decades and decades and decades ago, and run a correlation with how it differs today, we'll almost guarantee you that it's substantially different. We aren't certain, we don't have our fact checker, but from what we understand and have potentially been told, you'll have to check it exactly for yourself. Okay, no budget of Joe Rogan, Tim of the Pool fact checkers here. But we are under the impression that components, elements, and, all aspects of, everything kind of having anything to do with it. Financially, there's some components that are just super, just kind of wonky as far as the funds not getting where they necessarily need to go, okay? We don't feel that for every dollar donated, a whole dollar goes to the betterment of what it's supposed to do, okay? From what we understand, fractions of the dollars get diverted here, there, and elsewhere for different components. Well, it's a nonprofit. Of course, the, CEOs and financial officers and executives need six-figure volunteer bonuses, right? Or six-figure salaries for their, they're doing the Lord's work. And we're not saying that, all their CEO, directors, and people involved in it get six-figure salaries or anything like that, or for their volunteer time at the top upper levels. Okay? But surely there's a way someone might be able to find that out. And we thought we were told something about the money that they get, have access to, not really being utilized efficiently or appropriately. But that's a whole nother episode altogether. And we'll work on bringing that to you one day if you want it. What do you call a medical student who got C's and D's? Doctor. Ah, excellent. We kind of botched the delivery on it, but we'll say it was a success, because it was. So, work, right? We got a lot of it lined up. We got our projects we're working on. We've, told you a couple of those, what they are. Really the one main one, our rabbit hole we're digging on. And we hope that it comes to fruition and, really pays off and, can make a foothold, okay, at least from a philosophical perspective and point of view, to where a arranged collected works, while expansive to cover a variety of components and aspects of historical knowledge, data, and, things of that nature, science, technology, there are components of it that hopefully, with it being an expansive collected works, that it can be narrowed down and fine-tuned to complete areas of study, so that one doesn't need to go to the entire collected works to change or, address components of, a historical event that we feel has ties to other historical events that haven't been portrayed in that correlation before, okay? It can be argued that your correlation is inherently flawed, this, that, the other. Sure, we welcome that debate and discourse, and we await it in welcoming nature, form, and fashion. Okay? As we work to, put it out, bring it out, kind of provide what we feel, is going to be, in essence, a game changer for historical, collected works. We want to utilize our philosophy minor that we paid good money for, with which to do so. So, let's make it to where college is inherently more worth it. Let's create our universe here, our Shyzalosophy. Let's compile our collected works into the Shybal, we'll call it, right? And, sounds sacrilegious. No, it's not. We don't want to get excommunicated, believe you me. Their element components, aspects, or whatever that we welcome the discourse on and the portrayal of our perceived corrections to a recorded human history. And it's either going to be accepted or completely rejected as crap. But the latter does not worry us because we know where we stand, right? Ground floor level. We called Daryl Dixon dibs. With that, that's pretty much all we got for you now, or what we feel like doing. We are going to chug this because it has gotten cold and our coffee kind of sucks now. If you feel like interacting with a real-life internet celebrity, albeit not a good one, us, entertain yourselves now by doing such in the chat. We will address all questions, concerns. If you have an idea or something that you need portrayed or, conjectured upon utilizing Shyzalosophy and its adherence to its strict, rigorous moral guidelines and standards that we implemented and created for it, along the lines of what we feel is morally and guideline applicable. Oh, why do you get to? Yeah, because of our works. Then interact with us now in the chat. Otherwise, get out of here before us. We're going to be turning off the lights, and we don't need you stealing our shit when we're gone. Here we go. Oh, horrible. Excellent. All right. Does philosophy have commandments? Oh, does Shyzalosophy have commandments? So, it's funny you say that, the big JC. Shyzalosophy is not rooted in a commandment structure. However, ironically, and it's not in the finalized stages, but there is the initial draft done of what we deem to be not 10 commandments, okay, derived and given by God, the perceived commandments that align with our take on recorded history, science, technology, philosophy, religion, okay, a lot of components and elements, okay, compiled in a collected works, with which we will deduce, and we have derived what a conjectured, ungiven down by God, 10 commandment, or more like 10 guidelines, or ways of living that conjecturably feel like they would benefit humanity and society as a whole, okay? They are not given by God. We are not, prophets, okay? Maybe one day the world will consider us as such, okay? The world's crazy. It's a different time now. The enter of the net zones changes education, work, history, everything, okay? Every single component and aspect of education is on its head. Gobekli Tepe, the internet. Argue a point that proves that wrong. Hey, recorded history, the mainstream narratives, people who have been doing their life's work, and as we state, this work that we're undertaking, whether we were to ever consider it, and as it aligns and comes to fruition and gets closer and closer to now where we're at the point where we're actually utilizing discourse, talking about it, as we've been devising, creating, and implementing aspects and components to deduce and derive a alternative recorded human historical timeline rooted in fact. Well, I thought you didn't have your Tim Pool and your Joe Rogan fact checkers. Well, we need those for this interaction, okay? We can find out the other components and aspects of stuff on our own when we're not sitting here interacting and letting you interact with a real-life internet celebrity. Not a good one, okay? One nonetheless. We call dibs on the ground floor level. Daryl Dixon dibs. Walking Dead, you might have heard of it. A little bit of a pop culture phenomenon. Okay? the point is that as you know, yeah, things progress and everything like that. Shyzalosophy, it is funny that yeah, you asked that. It is not, you know, inherently derived or given by God, with the exception that it does operate on the premise that God is ordained, so it is done. Okay? Now, you could say, I'm an agnostic. I'm an atheist. I'm a Satanist. I'm of the school of Islamic thought, Buddhist tradition, you know, Catholicism, Protestant, Judaism, okay? I'm Quakers, okay? I'm of the school of thought, okay? Voodoo practitioners, okay? Witchcraft practitioners, okay? There are so many elements of Druidic culture, of Gnosticism, and parameters that surround the mythological arts, the mythology surrounding, God, art, history, education. You look at mythological beasts that are extinct, that are representative of components of history that are portrayed, and this, you know, we're trying to get there. They're portrayed in art and things that contradict the narrative that has been presented. When you have carvings of dinosaurs on ancient temples in jungles, like Stegosaurus is, okay? And these temples and structures date past what modern history wants to recognize or look at, sometimes attempt to cover up and bury. We reference the channel Bright Insight on a good occasion here because their portrayal of all of the components and aspects around Göbekli Tepe far surpass any coverage we could possibly give on it, okay? You want to know where we started on that element and component of Göbekli Tepe? Begin there, okay? Now, eventually, you know, we'll have a collected works and a place to point you in as far as, you know, the written to read, if that's the direction you want to go or do, okay? With a little bit of philosophical insight, conjecture, things of that nature, but of course, all rooted in inherent fact, okay? That is open for debate, okay? But, you know, we'll see how that goes. Shyzalosophy, no 10 commandments, not derived and given by God within the realm of God directly giving it, however, derived and, in essence, given by God within the realm of us being able to bring it to whoever gets it, right? God is ordained, so it's done. Okay? Somehow, whether you believe whatever or not, hey, you don't believe in God, sure, whatever. Maybe you believe in multiple gods and deities. Maybe you start, you know, recognizing that there's a lot of recorded aspects of history and, you know, works and things of that nature that are omitted from the narrative that kind of dispute some pretty heavy-hitting facts and, you know, aspects and components of, you know, educational talking points and, you know, any component or element of it that is involved around the discussion thereof. There's some crazy stuff out there. We have stumbled across some crazy stuff, and like we said, as the rabbit hole became a crater, we're like, well, this is unacceptable. We already knew. We're already at ends with recorded history. Okay? We are already at ends with the educational system. We're already at ends with components of religious institutions omitting, covering up, and hiding truths to portray a certain narrative or a certain train of thought as a means of, in essence, control. And believe it or not, hey, any feminists out there, holy moly ravioli, he might be saying, oh, geez, we got this dude here we go. any feminist will be happy to know that not only do we have an entire section that accounts for what we stumbled upon as reasoning for a patriarchal cover-up and omission of female components, aspects, and source material that irked us so much that we revamped and reshaped the entire project to accommodate that lack of known truth that is verifiably certain as recorded and documented, yet somehow, and we know why, was omitted from what was told to the people. You might be saying, well, good thing you're making feminists happy. The whole work's gonna suck now. And it might very well have already sucked to begin with. You know, it doesn't matter. It's open for debate. It's a modern, living, philosophical, historical, scientifically derived chain of thought and study, okay, that is inherently tied to strictly and solely self-study and enlightenment, okay? There's no read this, and that's where you're going to get the truth. No. There's a collected works that we will have, and we will break it up by categories, things of that nature, try and do our best to, have things correlate to each other within the confines of where they're broken up into. And then from which there, you can deduce and derive and study any aspect or component that you feel is relevant to your overall desire to get better and enlighten yourself spiritually, emotionally, individually, as a being or an entity, okay? We're not going to tell you how to interpret anything. We're just going to tell you what is there that has been omitted. What is there that we feel is more pertinent. What is there that contradicts a mainstream narrative. What is there that is more inherently potentially true than anything that we've been taught our entire lives, up to and including all of that crap we paid for to be indoctrinated in college. And like we said, there are components of college that are good, necessary, and needed. And there are a lot that are not. And there are decisions that are made at levels that work on making things worse, okay, before they make them better. So, like we said, that's all we got for you today. Excellent question. That kept us around and padded out the episode for a good minute. Good looking out, Big JC. Wow. We're still out of beverage and everything, so if you want to interact with us, go ahead. But we know why some of you are still here. We haven't offered you the chance to get that internet connection that you've been looking for, wanting to really reach out and touch an internet celebrity. So go ahead now. You may touch us if you would like. Yes. Excellent. Okay. It's enough touching. We don't know where you've been today and what videos you have watched. God only knows if your algorithm got you here. That is not necessarily a good thing. What is a good thing is that we're pretty much done with work now. You might be saying, when did you start? I don't know, but it feels like we're done, so we are. So, if you got a very, very, very last-minute addition for the next episode, throw it in now, and Shyzalosophy will run with it. Because, remember, our living philosophy is the philosophy that lives. And it lives through you doing our jobs for us, really. So, if you got an idea, get one in there. Otherwise, we'll come up with one on our own. See how it works out. Ho, ho, ho! That's right. Our episode was fantastic. Picture Pakalika puffing. Well, we can't do a whole episode on Pakalika, but we can do maybe the philosophy of music and how it combines stuff. So excellent choice. All right, we'll play around with that. We'll touch base. Be in touch. The Big JC, we know you will be. Whenever you are, we inundate you with a bunch of crap. Which is probably more often than it needs to be our bad. Good looking out. We like to bounce things off of reputable, reliable sources sometimes. Anyhow, we will picture Pakalika puffing, and we'll picture ourselves puffing our way the hell out of here, because we're done working for now. So, Thanks for coming. Thanks for sticking around. Don't forget to accidentally subscribe or anything like that. But inherently, where you've been standing around is leaving a bunch of footprints on our grass, and it's mushing it down, making it a little discolored, and we don't really appreciate that. So we don't inherently need your subscription. We want your money. So downvote the shit out of this and give us a buck. Get off our lawn.